At the beginning of the story, we see a strange meteorite fragment crash down to Earth. Hidden inside it is a symbiote that has just arrived on our planet. At the same time, Peter Parker is lying under the open sky with MJ, enjoying a peaceful evening. Neither of them has any idea that the symbiote is nearby. As Peter and MJ leave, the symbiote secretly attaches itself to Peter's bike and follows him all the way back to his apartment. Meanwhile, we see Harry Osborn. He has finally learned the truth. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he believes Peter is responsible for the death of his father, Norman Osborn. Driven by revenge, Harry takes the Goblin Serum and prepares himself to settle the score. At the same time, we meet a fugitive criminal named Flint Marko. While escaping from the police, he sneaks into his home, where his daughter Penny is asleep. He changes his clothes and starts eating some bread. Just then, his wife walks in and tells him that he can't keep hiding there because he's a wanted man. Flint explains that he only came to see his daughter. His wife angrily reminds him that while he's been sitting in prison, she's been struggling to take care of their sick daughter all by herself. Penny quietly listens to the conversation. Flint walks over to Penny and promises her that no matter what happens, he will find a way to pay for her treatment. He tells her he'll come back with the money soon. Penny gives him a small locket to keep with him. As Flint leaves, he says something important. He insists that he's not a bad person. According to him, it's the circumstances of life that pushed him down this path. Later, Peter visits Aunt May and tells her that he's planning to propose to MJ very soon. Aunt May is happy to hear the news and shares the story of how Uncle Ben proposed to her many years ago. She explains that she and Uncle Ben never rushed into marriage because a husband must learn to put his wife's needs before his own. She asks Peter if he's ready for that kind of responsibility. Peter thinks for a moment and says, "Yeah, I think so." Aunt May then tells him that when he proposes to Mary Jane, he should make the moment unforgettable, something she'll remember for the rest of her life. She hands Peter the engagement ring that Uncle Ben gave her 50 years ago. Peter is deeply touched. He takes the ring and hugs Aunt May before heading back home. But on the way, he's suddenly attacked by Harry. Using advanced goblin technology, Harry blasts Peter and pins him against a wall. Removing his mask, Harry tells him that revenge was always coming. Then he launches a deadly attack. Peter manages to defend himself and desperately tries to explain that he didn't kill Norman Osborn. He tells Harry that Norman died because of his own actions while trying to kill Spider-Man. But Harry refuses to believe him. Consumed by anger, Harry repeatedly slams Peter into walls. Peter doesn't want to fight back, but then Aunt May's ring falls to the ground. Realizing he can't lose it, Peter finally fights back, recovers the ring, and tries to leave. Harry isn't done yet. He chases Peter through the city and attacks him with goblin weapons. Peter dodges the attacks and destroys the weapons one by one. Finally, using a web, he sends Harry crashing to the ground. Peter rushes over to check on him, but Harry isn't breathing. Panicked, Peter quickly takes him to the hospital, where doctors immediately begin emergency treatment and use a defibrillator to revive him. Elsewhere, the police finally track down Flint Marko. While trying to escape, Flint accidentally enters a scientific testing facility and falls into an experimental particle accelerator. The scientists unknowingly begin the process. Flint desperately tries to get out, but it's too late. His body starts bonding at a molecular level with the surrounding sand. Slowly, he disintegrates and becomes one with it. When police officers arrive after the experiment is over, Flint is nowhere to be found. But sometime later, the impossible happens. Flint reforms himself from the sand and comes back to life. He discovers that he now has the ability to control and transform his body into sand. Flint Marko has become Sandman. Back at the hospital, doctors inform Peter that Harry is now stable. However, the accident has caused memory loss, and he can't remember any of the recent events. Peter visits Harry's room. Harry tells him that the doctors said he was in an accident, but he can't remember what happened. Soon, MJ arrives as well. Harry recognizes her, and a nurse politely informs them that Harry needs rest. Peter and MJ leave the room. Peter is relieved because Harry no longer remembers the conflict between them. For now, it seems like their friendship has been restored. Later, Peter attends one of MJ's performances and praises her afterward, telling her that she did an amazing job. The next day, MJ visits Peter at his apartment. She's upset because her performance received negative reviews. Newspapers are criticizing her voice, and she feels completely discouraged. Peter tries to comfort her. He tells her that she performed wonderfully and that critics often tear people down for no reason. He says she shouldn't let those comments affect her. Just then, a breaking news report comes on the radio. A construction crane has gone completely out of control and is causing chaos in the city. The moment Peter hears it, he knows he has to act. Without wasting another second, he rushes out to help. Meanwhile, the out-of-control crane starts smashing into a nearby building. Gwen Stacy, one of Peter's classmates, is there working as a model. As parts of the building begin collapsing, Gwen ends up hanging from the edge and starts falling. Luckily, Peter arrives just in time as Spider-Man. He swings into action, catches Gwen, and safely brings her down to the ground. Right after that, a journalist named Eddie Brock shows up and starts taking pictures of Spider-Man. Eddie proudly introduces himself as the Daily Bugle's new photographer and tells Spider-Man that from now on, he'll be the one taking all of his photos. Spider-Man replies that the Bugle already has a photographer. Eddie smirks and says, "Parker's a loser." Spider-Man simply leaves. Later, Eddie takes his photos to the Daily Bugle. There, he flatters J. Jonah Jameson and manages to impress him enough to consider buying the pictures. A little while later, Peter arrives with his own photos. Eddie tells Jameson that he desperately needs a job because his mother is sick. He also claims that it has always been his dream to work alongside the greatest editor of the century, J. Jonah Jameson himself. Jameson loves the compliments. Peter quickly reminds him that he's been working for the Bugle for years and that if there's a job available, he deserves it. Jameson comes up with a challenge. He says he wants proof that Spider-Man is nothing more than a common criminal. Whoever can bring him evidence of Spider-Man committing a crime will get the position. Both Peter and Eddie leave the office. As they walk away, Peter tells Eddie that Spider-Man would never commit a crime. Later, Peter takes Harry back to his mansion. Harry still has no memory of the recent events and remains completely unaware of their conflict. Meanwhile, MJ returns to rehearsals, only to discover that she has been replaced. Another actress has taken her role. The news completely crushes her. Not long afterward, a special celebration is organized to honor Spider-Man for saving Gwen Stacy. Fans gather from all over to see their hero. Peter arrives at the event, and everyone is excited to see Spider-Man. During the ceremony, Gwen unexpectedly kisses Spider-Man in front of the crowd. MJ witnesses the whole thing, and it hurts. At the same time, the police spot Sandman moving through the city. They immediately begin chasing him. To escape, Sandman dives into a truck filled with sand and absorbs an enormous amount of it, transforming into a giant version of himself. The police open fire. Angered by the attack, Sandman strikes back and then rides away in a massive cloud of sand. As he passes through the city, he crosses paths with Spider-Man and heads straight toward a bank transport vehicle, carrying millions of dollars. The security guards try to stop him, but Sandman easily overpowers them, burying them in sand before grabbing the money and attempting to escape. That's when Spider-Man arrives. He steps in and tries to stop Flint. Flint tells him, "I don't want to hurt you." Spider-Man responds, "You may not know it, but I'm the protector of this city." Then he attacks. But because Flint's body is made of sand, Spider-Man's punches pass right through him. Sandman immediately fights back. A huge battle breaks out between the two. During the fight, the trapped guards call for help. Spider-Man chooses to rescue them first, but that gives Sandman the opportunity he needs. Flint escapes and disappears before Spider-Man can stop him. Later, we see Peter heading to an expensive restaurant. He's excited because tonight is the night he plans to propose to Mary Jane. MJ arrives, but Peter has no idea that she was fired from her play. Instead of noticing how upset she is, he keeps talking about how successful she is and how everyone loves him too. He even starts acting like a celebrity himself. Then Gwen unexpectedly shows up. She explains that she's having dinner there with her parents. Peter introduces Gwen to MJ and casually mentions that Gwen is his lab partner. Gwen then smiles and says, "Spider-Man kissed me today. Not everyone gets a kiss from Spider-Man." After saying that, she walks away. MJ is clearly upset. She turns to Peter and says, "You never even mentioned Gwen before, and now I find out you kissed her? I can't just forget that." With that, she leaves the restaurant. Peter is left sitting there, disappointed and confused. Back at home, he sends MJ a voicemail, telling her that he wants to talk. But before he can do anything else, he receives a call from the police. Peter and Aunt May head to the police station, where Captain Stacy reveals shocking new information. He explains that when Uncle Ben was killed, the police believed Dennis Carradine was responsible, but they were wrong. The real killer was never caught. Captain Stacy then shows them a photograph. The man in the picture is Flint Marko. We're then shown what really happened on the night Uncle Ben died. Outside the library, Uncle Ben was waiting for Peter when Flint attempted to steal his car. Ben refused to hand it over, and Flint shot him. Dennis Carradine fled the scene alone, while Flint escaped. Later, Peter had gone after Dennis, believing he was responsible. Learning the truth fills Peter with rage. He angrily asks why the police never told them this before. Now Peter wants only one thing: revenge. revenge. He's determined to find Flint Marko and make him pay for Uncle Ben's death. Soon afterward, MJ comes to Peter's apartment. She tries to stop him from making another terrible mistake. She reminds him of what happened the last time he let revenge control him, but Peter isn't willing to listen. He coldly tells her that he doesn't need her help and that she can leave if she wants. Heartbroken, MJ walks away. Peter puts on his Spider-Man suit and begins monitoring police frequencies, hoping that the moment Sandman shows up again, he'll be able to track him down. But there's no sign of Flint Marko. Later that night, Peter tries to sleep, but memories of Uncle Ben keep haunting him. As he lies in bed, we see the mysterious symbiote slowly crawling toward him. It reaches Peter's suit and begins attaching itself to it. Within moments, it spreads across his entire body, completely covering him. When Peter wakes up, he notices something shocking. His suit has turned completely black. Not only that, but he feels different, stronger, faster, and more powerful than ever before. At first, Peter is excited by the change. Wanting answers, he takes a sample of the strange substance to Dr. Kurt Connors for analysis. After examining it, Connors tells Peter that he has never seen anything like it before and needs more time to run tests. As they talk, the symbiote sample suddenly starts moving toward Peter. Seeing this, Connors becomes concerned. He warns Peter that he should stay away from the creature because it appears to be a living organism that survives by bonding with a host and gradually taking control of it. When Peter returns home, he hears a police report over the radio about another robbery. Witnesses claim that a massive sandstorm was involved. Peter immediately prepares to leave, but instead of putting on his normal Spider-Man suit, he chooses the black suit. At the bank, Peter discovers that Sandman has attacked the security guards and escaped into the sewer system below. Peter follows him underground. Just then, Eddie Brock arrives and starts taking pictures of Spider-Man. Already affected by the symbiote's influence, Peter loses his temper and smashes Eddie's camera. Eddie is furious. Meanwhile, Sandman is making his escape with bags full of stolen money. Spider-Man catches up to him, and another intense fight begins. The two battle through the tunnels, trading powerful blows. This time, Peter is far more aggressive than usual. He repeatedly attacks Sandman and eventually knocks him into a large pool of water. Because Sandman's body is made of sand, the water begins breaking him apart. Determined to finish the fight, Peter opens a nearby water pipe, flooding the area. Sandman starts dissolving completely. Within moments, he appears to be destroyed. Believing Flint is finally gone, Peter leaves. But when he returns home, something feels wrong. The black suit is changing him. The symbiote's influence is growing stronger. When his landlord asks about the rent, Peter suddenly snaps at him in a way he never would have before. That's when Peter realizes the suit is affecting his behavior. Concerned, he locks the black suit inside a box and decides to visit Aunt May. There, he tells her that Spider-Man killed Flint Marko. Aunt May is disturbed by what she hears. She tells Peter that Spider-Man isn't someone who kills people. She also reminds him that no one has the right to decide who deserves to live and who deserves to die. Even though Flint was responsible for Uncle Ben's death, she believes living for revenge is never the right path. Meanwhile, after losing her role in the play, MJ returns to working as a singer and waitress at a nightclub. She's heartbroken and struggling emotionally. Instead of calling Peter, she decides to visit Harry. At Harry's mansion, the two spend time together, cooking and dancing. In an emotional moment, MJ accidentally kisses him. The second it happens, she realizes she made a mistake. Feeling guilty, she quickly leaves. Harry tries to stop her, but she walks away. Later, when Harry returns to his room, he begins hearing his father's voice again. Suddenly, memories of everything come flooding back. He remembers Peter, Spider-Man, his father's death, and the battle that caused him to lose his memory. Then he sees a vision of Norman Osborn standing before him. Norman tells Harry that he must take revenge on Peter. He reminds him that Peter took everything away from him and urges him to make Peter suffer so much that he begs for death. Meanwhile, when MJ returns to her apartment, Harry suddenly appears and confronts her. He threatens her and makes it clear that if she wants Peter to stay alive, she'll have to help him. MJ has no choice. Following Harry's orders, she calls Peter and asks him to meet her at a park. Peter arrives carrying flowers, hoping to fix their relationship, but MJ breaks his heart. She tells him that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. She says he's never truly there for her and claims that she has found someone else. Then she walks away. Peter is devastated. Harry, pleased that his plan is working, decides to push things even further. Later, he meets with Peter and reveals something Peter never knew. He tells him that MJ was fired from her show and is now working at a nightclub. Peter is shocked. He asks Harry why MJ told him that information instead of telling him. Harry looks him straight in the eye and says that MJ has started caring about him now. Peter refuses to believe it, but Harry continues. He claims that MJ always loved him and that her feelings for him never truly disappeared. Peter returns home, but he's furious. The thought of Harry and MJ together keeps replaying in his mind. Consumed by anger, he puts the black suit back on and heads straight to Harry's mansion. The moment he arrives, he confronts Harry and demands to know what happened between him and MJ. Harry calmly replies that MJ came to him on her own and even kissed him. That's all it takes. Peter completely loses control. He attacks Harry, and Harry immediately fights back with deadly force. The two former friends clash in a brutal battle throughout the mansion. Under the influence of the symbiote, Peter is stronger and more aggressive than ever before. Harry retreats into his lab and attacks with his goblin blade, but Peter overpowers him. Using Harry's own hoverboard, he slams him across the room and sends him crashing into the wall. As the fight continues, Harry asks, "Are you going to kill me the same way you killed my father?" By now, the black suit has brought out the worst in Peter. Without hesitation, he responds, "Your father never cared about you. To him, you were nothing but an embarrassment." The words hit Harry harder than any punch. As Peter turns to leave, Harry throws a goblin bomb at him, but Peter catches it and throws it right back. The bomb explodes near Harry, leaving him horribly injured. On his way home, Peter notices a newspaper headline claiming that Spider-Man was caught robbing a bank. He immediately realizes something is wrong. At the Daily Bugle, everyone is praising Eddie Brock for getting the exclusive photos. Peter arrives and confronts him. He tells Eddie that he knows the photos were manipulated and that they're completely fake. Eddie panics and begs Peter not to expose him. He explains that if the truth comes out, no newspaper company will ever hire him again, but Peter refuses to stay silent. He presents proof of the forgery to Jameson's assistant. When Jameson learns the truth, he's furious. Eddie is fired on the spot, and the Daily Bugle is forced to publish a public apology, admitting that the story about Spider-Man robbing a bank was false. Not long after, Dr. Connors calls Peter. He finally has the results of his research. Connors explains that the symbiote amplifies the abilities of its host, especially negative emotions like anger and aggression. Unfortunately, Peter is still under the symbiote's influence and barely pays attention to the warning. As time passes, his personality changes even more. He becomes arrogant, self-centered, and reckless. He starts selling his Spider-Man photos to Jameson for double the price and spends his time showing off and flirting with every girl he meets. Meanwhile, Sandman is revealed to be alive. The water didn't destroy him. He slowly reforms himself and escapes from the sewer, returning to his normal form. Later, Peter takes Gwen to the same nightclub where MJ works. His real goal isn't to enjoy the evening. He's trying to make MJ jealous. Peter dances with Gwen right in front of her. Gwen quickly realizes what's happening. She understands that Peter is only using her to hurt MJ. Feeling uncomfortable, Gwen apologizes to MJ and leaves the club. The manager becomes frustrated with Peter's behavior and orders security to throw him out. Instead of leaving, Peter attacks them. MJ tries to stop him, but in the chaos, Peter accidentally hits her and knocks her to the floor. The entire club falls silent. Shocked and hurt, MJ looks at him and asks, "What happened to you?" For the first time, Peter realizes how far he has fallen. He can't believe he just hurt the person he loves. At that moment, he finally understands that the symbiote is changing him. Determined to get rid of it, Peter heads to a cathedral. Coincidentally, Eddie Brock is there as well. Peter struggles to remove the symbiote, but it refuses to let go. Then the church bells begin ringing. The powerful sound waves weaken the symbiote instantly. As the bells continue to ring, Peter painfully tears the creature away from his body. Hearing the screams, Eddie walks toward the sound. Looking up, he finally discovers Spider-Man's biggest secret. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. At that exact moment, the symbiote drops from above and bonds with Eddie. The creature senses Eddie's hatred and anger. It embraces those emotions and chooses him as its new host. Together, they become Venom. Meanwhile, Peter is finally free from the symbiote's control. The next day, Aunt May visits him. She asks if he ever proposed to MJ. Peter sadly admits that he hurt her and no longer knows how to fix things. Aunt May gently reminds him not to lose faith in himself. She tells him that she knows he's a good person and believes he'll find a way to make things right. After encouraging him, she leaves. Elsewhere, Venom tracks down Flint Marko. At first, Sandman mistakes him for Spider-Man and attacks. Eddie quickly explains that he hates Spider-Man just as much as Flint does. He reminds Flint that Spider-Man keeps standing in the way of his goals, including earning the money needed to help his daughter. Venom proposes an alliance. Together, they can finally destroy Spider-Man. Flint agrees. Soon afterward, MJ is riding in a taxi when Venom suddenly kidnaps her. He takes the entire taxi and leaves it hanging from the top of a skyscraper, nearly 80 stories above the ground. The police rush to help, but Sandman attacks anyone who gets close. Then Venom and Sandman leave a message for Spider-Man. If you think you can stop us, come and try. Peter sees the news report and immediately understands what's happening. MJ is in danger. Knowing he can't defeat both Venom and Sandman alone, Peter puts on his Spider-Man suit and goes to Harry for help. When Harry opens the door, he reveals the devastating injuries left by the goblin bomb. Half of his face is badly scarred. Still filled with resentment, Harry looks at Peter and says, "You don't deserve my help." Then he tells him to leave. With no other choice, Peter walks away alone. Just as Peter leaves, Harry is visited by his father's longtime butler. The butler finally reveals a truth he has kept secret for years. He tells Harry that he witnessed everything that happened in the Osborn household, but always remained silent. Then he explains that on the night Norman Osborn died, he personally cleaned his wounds. The fatal injury was caused by Norman's own glider. The butler admits that he understands Harry's desire for revenge, but the truth is that Norman was responsible for his own death, not Peter. Those words change everything. Meanwhile, Peter arrives at the construction site where MJ is being held captive. The crowd below is relieved to see Spider-Man finally show up. As Peter reaches the suspended taxi, Venom suddenly attacks him. Eddie reveals himself and reminds Peter that he ruined his life and humiliated him in front of everyone. Now he wants revenge. The two begin fighting, and Venom quickly gains the upper hand, knocking Peter down. At the same time, the taxi starts collapsing, and MJ is forced to jump. She barely manages to grab onto one of Venom's web-like tendrils to keep herself from falling. Peter tries to reach her, but before he can, Sandman transforms into a gigantic sand monster and launches a massive attack. Peter dodges the blows and attempts to climb toward MJ, but Venom intercepts him. Venom wraps his hand around Peter's throat while Sandman repeatedly pounds him with powerful punches. Peter is trapped. He can't break free. Watching from below, people begin to fear that Spider-Man won't survive. The situation looks hopeless. Then, out of nowhere, Harry arrives. Riding his glider, he attacks Sandman with goblin bombs and finally gives Peter a chance to breathe. The crowd erupts with excitement. Harry then charges straight at Venom and knocks him away as well. Peter is relieved to see him. At last, the two friends are fighting side by side again. Together, Spider-Man and Harry take on Venom and Sandman. While Harry battles Sandman, MJ suddenly loses her grip and begins falling. Both Peter and Harry rush to save her. Peter reaches her just in time, catches her before she hits the ground, and safely places her on a nearby building. Meanwhile, Sandman continues attacking Harry. Peter joins the fight, and together they push Sandman back. Harry eventually strikes with a powerful goblin bomb, blasting Sandman apart and scattering his body. At the same time, Venom attacks Peter again. Using his black tendrils, Venom binds Peter and starts beating him relentlessly. Peter tries one last time to reason with Eddie. He tells him that the symbiote is turning him into something terrible, but Eddie only smiles. He says that being bad makes him happy. Then he resumes the attack. Harry steps in to help, but Venom throws him aside. As Harry crashes into nearby structures, several metal pipes fall to the ground. The loud metallic sound causes Venom intense pain. Suddenly, Peter remembers Dr. Connor's warning. High-frequency sound is Venom's weakness. Venom grabs Harry's hoverboard and tries to use it against Peter, but Harry throws himself in the way and saves him. The attack leaves Harry critically wounded. Venom knocks him aside and turns his attention back to Peter. This time, Peter is ready. He grabs a metal rod and strikes nearby pipes, creating powerful vibrations and high-frequency sounds. Venom screams in agony. The symbiote begins separating from Eddie. As the creature struggles to survive, it reveals its true monstrous form. Peter finally manages to pull Eddie free, but before the symbiote can reattach itself, Peter throws one of Harry's goblin bombs directly at it. Eddie desperately rushes back toward the symbiote, unwilling to let it go. The bomb explodes. Both Eddie Brock and Venom are destroyed together. Nearby, Sandman watches everything unfold. Seeing Peter's actions and sacrifice, he realizes that he chose the wrong side. He admits that Peter is a good man and tells him that he never wanted any of this. Peter reminds him that Uncle Ben would still be alive if Flint had made a different choice. Flint lowers his head and explains what really happened. He says that his daughter was dying and he was desperate for money. That night, he tried to steal a car from Uncle Ben. Ben told him to put down the gun and walk away. Looking back, Flint realizes that Uncle Ben was right. Then he saw his partner running away with the money. In the confusion, his gun accidentally went off. The shot killed Uncle Ben. Flint insists that he never intended to murder him and has regretted that moment every single day since. Hearing the truth, Peter is overwhelmed with emotion. He realizes that anger and revenge have controlled his life for far too long. Peter admits that he has made many mistakes of his own. Then he does something extraordinary. He forgives Flint Marco. With nothing left to say, Sandman drifts away into the wind and disappears. Nearby, Harry lies gravely injured. MJ rushes to his side, and Peter quickly joins her. Peter tells Harry that everything will be okay, but Harry knows the truth. His time has come. Peter apologizes for everything that happened between them and asks for forgiveness. Harry smiles weakly. He reminds Peter that they were always friends. Moments later, Harry passes away. Peter and MJ are devastated. The next day, they attend Harry's funeral and place flowers on his grave, paying their final respects to their friend. The story leaves us with an important lesson. No matter how difficult life becomes, we always have a choice. Our decisions define who we are, and choosing the right path is what truly matters. In the final scene, Peter returns to the nightclub where MJ is performing. He quietly walks up to her and holds out his hand. MJ looks at him, understands everything that has happened, and embraces him. The two share a heartfelt moment as they begin to heal and move forward together.